You should use a metronome every single time that you practice. If you find this video helpful, be sure to give it a like so I know that this information is useful for you and so I can know to make more videos like this in the future. And subscribe to the channel so you can see those videos in the future. And if you want even more clarinet tips and tricks, then look in the description and follow the link to join the official Quick Start Clarinet community. So the first step to being effective with using a metronome in your practicing is that you have to get one. So there are a ton of really affordable physical metronomes that you can order online. You can go to any music store and they should have some kind of option for a metronome that you can get. There are also a lot of free or very affordable apps that you can get on any smartphone that are great metronomes. The only essential requirements for a metronome is that it provides an audible, steady beat and you can change the speed of that beat. And that's it. All of the other fancy bells and whistles and features and like programmability and different crazy things that you can do with different fancier metronomes aren't totally necessary. They are nice and useful and can be helpful tools if that's something you use, but all you need is a steady beat that you can change the speed of, and you can do anything you'll ever need to do with the metronome. For the longest time, I didn't really believe my teacher that it was that important to practice with a metronome. I felt like I had like pretty good, steady sense of time for myself. And I had sort of a love-hate relationship with the metronome that was mostly a hate relationship because I felt like whenever I would play with the metronome, it would just make things harder and it was difficult to stay with it. But that was the big lesson that I had to learn, because once I figured out how to play with the metronome comfortably and started implementing it in my practicing regularly, it was super beneficial, and I really started to understand the power and the benefit of the metronome. And I want to help you to understand that because it's not always what you think. In order to be a good musician, rhythm is probably the #1 most important thing that you have to be really solid on. When you're playing with a group or even with one other person, if you have bad rhythm, it's absolutely miserable to play with. So if you're trying to be a good player and a good colleague to the people you're playing with, you want to make sure that you have really solid, steady, clear rhythm. And the best way to achieve that is practicing with the metronome. I think a lot of people confuse the use of the metronome as a way to make sure that you're going at the right speed, but it's not really about that at all. Sure, it's useful to like check your tempo, and if you have a goal tempo or a specific tempo that a piece has to go at, it's good to know what that speed is, but the metronome is much more important for practicing playing really steadily. So what I want to show you today is how to go slow enough to make things really comfortable and use the metronome to keep you slow and steady and then gradually speed up to whatever the goal tempo may be. I'll also include some fun sort of metronome games that help with that gradual speeding up process at the end. To show you this, I'm just going to practice a few measures out of a piece. I'm going to do something from Weber's Concertino, and I'm just going to show you how I practice it going really slow and steady and then gradually speeding it up and using the metronome to keep me steady and focused and able to get up to the tempo that I want to play really controlled and comfortably. So the first thing that you need to know before you start practicing is what speed you actually want to end up going on whatever passage you're practicing. So the part that I'm doing is the end of Weber's Concertino, and it is in 6/8. And the goal tempo that I have for at 6/8 with the dotted quarter note would be equaling 76. So you can see the flashing number is at 76, and that sounds like this. So the speed that I'm going to be going eventually will be dia-ta-ta-ta, 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 dia-ta-ta-ta. And I'm just going to do that tiny bit just to show you how I use the metronome to work on this stuff. So that may be the final goal tempo, but that tempo doesn't feel super comfortable to play that at yet because I need to go slower at a comfortable speed and then gradually work up from there. I think when you're going slow, like don't be afraid to go ridiculously slow, like half tempo or even slower. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna leave my metronome at 76, but I'm gonna make this the 8th note instead of the dotted quarter note. So that means I'm gonna be going at a third of the speed. So it'll be D, 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 D. Really, really, really slow so that it's comfortable and easy to play, and I can hear every single detail about how I'm playing it. So let's try that. So at that speed, I can hear a lot of inconsistencies with my articulation and the tone quality and the evenness. And maybe at full speed, that stuff is barely noticeable, but the more that you can clean that up and make it really exactly how you want at the slow speed, the more clean and perfect your fast speed technical stuff will be. So I'm gonna do that a few more times and try to get it exactly how I want at this super, super slow speed. Great, I think that's closer to what I want, and I'm getting more consistency and it's feeling easy. If it doesn't feel comfortable and easy to play it the way that you want to, then go slower so you have more time to think about all of the different things that you need to focus on. One other thing that I want to mention real quick that I'm noticing that's important in a good metronome is that the click is actually loud enough. I'm sure on the video it's like the click is barely coming across when I'm playing, and it's actually even a little bit hard for me to hear it while I'm playing also. So that's another important thing that you want in your metronome, is that it's loud enough that you can hear it when you're playing at all different dynamics. So now that that's feeling comfortable and easy at that tempo, the next step is to gradually speed up and make sure it stays comfortable and easy. Because I'm still working with the 8th note tempo, the amount I increase the number will not increase the overall tempo quite as much as it would feel like. So for now, I'm gonna go by like pretty big numbers, especially because we're very much on the slow side. But as you get closer to the tempo that you want, you can increase by smaller and smaller intervals so that you gradually work up, and it can always feel really easy. So for now, I'm gonna go from 76 for the 8th note, and now I'm gonna go up to 86 for the 8th note, and see if I can get the same quality and ease in that passage. So I was pretty happy with that. Don't be afraid to keep implementing the 3 I's of practicing and isolate even further. If there's one spot that is less comfortable, isolate that and improve it so that it feels more comfortable. And then you can integrate it back together and incorporate all that to do the whole thing at the tempo with it all feeling easy and coming out how you want. So the next step is to keep speeding up. I'm gonna go by another 10 since we're still pretty slow and pretty comfortable. You'll notice that each new tempo, I try to do it at least 3 times in a row with it going the way that I want, so that my brain develops that and gets used to doing it the way that I want in my muscle memory. So getting as many repetitions in as possible that are really high quality and how I want is the goal at every single tempo. Now we'll go up another 10 more clicks on the metronome. As you're speeding up, make sure if anything starts to feel uncomfortable or isn't coming out as well as you'd like, to just keep repeating it and making sure that you're able to get it smooth, comfortable, easy, even exactly with the metronome and exactly how you want to play it once it's going even faster. You'll notice that when I make a mistake, I make sure that I get 3 times in a row with it going really well. So if I do 2 times well and then make a mistake, I have to start over with getting 3 times in a row really well. Again, this is about overbalancing really good repetitions with mistakes. So for every 1 mistake, I have 3 times going well. And now we've worked up to the 8th note being 186 eighth notes per minute. So at this point, it might be nice to change it to the dotted quarter note feeling, because that's ultimately what it is. It's D. And remember, my goal tempo is 76 for the dotted quarter note, not 200 and whatever that would be for the eighth note. So eventually we need to go back to feeling it in that dotted quarter note pulse, because that's what we'll eventually be playing in. So this is where you have to do just a little bit of math. So if we have 186 for the eighth note, then we'll have to divide that by 3 to get to the dotted quarter note, because there's 3 eighth notes in a dotted quarter note. So 186 divided by 3, if I know how to do math, would be 62. So I'm gonna put the metronome back down to 62 and try it again. So it'll be at the same tempo, but we'll be going from an eighth note feeling to the dotted quarter note pulse. So let's give that a try. So with this, the key to lining it up with that is still to be thinking of the eighth notes in your head. So even though the metronome's just going, in my head I'm thinking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1 and 2 and 3, 4 and 5 and 6, and keeping that subdivision going in my head so that I'm really even and steady and can always line up each of those metronome beats. Also, now that we're in the dotted quarter note rather than eighth notes, going up by 10 would be a really dramatic increase. So now I'm gonna just go up by 2 clicks on the metronome. So we're going from 62 to 64 and then continuing our process of speeding up. Now 66. Make sure as you're getting faster and getting closer to your goal tempo that you're keeping everything really consistent and really high quality. I had a few times where my articulation maybe wasn't exactly precise, and I think it would have been a good idea to stick at that tempo and work through it to make sure that I get 3 in a row good repetitions of it going exactly how I want with all of the details in place. It's also important as you speed up to make sure that it's still feeling really easy and really comfortable and relaxed and even and steady. And now we're at 74, so we're almost to that goal tempo of 76. Yeah, at this speed, it's starting to get a little bit tricky. So I'm gonna do it maybe a few more repetitions to make sure that I can keep the ease and comfort. And I'm also gonna decrease the interval that I'm increasing by. So once we got to dotted quarter notes at 62, I was increasing by 2 clicks at a time. Now we're at 74, and I'm just gonna go up to 75 for the next repetition so that we gradually approach that goal, keeping the ease and comfort the whole time. So now that I got up to my goal tempo of 76, you'll notice I did several repetitions there to build that into my muscle memory, and I kept isolating and improving to make sure everything was going as easy as I wanted it to. And that was so much more effective than just trying to go right at my goal tempo and just banging my head against the wall trying to get my fingers to go that fast. Instead, I got many really quality repetitions at a slower tempo, and then was able to translate that ease into the fast tempo. So if I were to perform this piece, I would be able to play through this with lots of comfort and ease, and it would look impressive and sound great to the audience because I'd be playing those notes at a good tempo with fluidity, evenness, and ease. I just want to give you a couple more quick, nifty little tricks to do with the metronome to help your practicing. This first one is one of my favorites. It's where you alternate sort of going fast and then going back to your slow tempo. You can also do this as you're gradually speeding up too, which is really helpful, where you'll play the slowest tempo that you feel super comfortable and everything's super easy, and then you'll speed up to the next tempo and make sure that that feels good, and then go back to the first tempo to really feel how easy that is, and then speed up even more, and then go back, and speed up more, and go back. Once you get to the goal tempo, it's still good to go back to that slow tempo to remember the quality. So it would be super easy on this with my metronome, and I like to do this with half speeds a lot, is that you just have your metronome on the goal tempo, and then you go between making that the quarter note, or in this case the dotted quarter note, and then making it the eighth note. So that would sound something like this. There's actually Bernard, who is a very famous clarinet teacher and performer, has this practice method that's very similar to that, where you practice a lot going half speed. And the way that he does it is you do 9 repetitions of half speed, or a third speed in this case, and then 1 repetition of full speed. But then you do 10 sets of that. So by the end of it, you've done 90 repetitions at half speed and then 10 repetitions at full speed. Just imagine how comfortable you would be with something if you practiced it that way. Another similar little game that you can do as you're speeding up that is really helpful is you go up like 3 clicks or 5 clicks and then back down 1 or 2, or maybe back down 2 or 3 if you've gone up 5. So you're always going up a bit and then back a bit, and then up a bit and then back a bit. That's a really great way to really cement all the technique in your fingers and feel super comfortable as you really gradually move your way up. I really like that method also for really difficult stuff, because it pushes you a little bit and makes you out of your comfort zone where you get better, and then you can go back to remember what it feels like to play it really perfectly and really easily, and then you push a little more and then come back and push and come back. It's really useful and really cements the stuff in your brain and in your muscle memory so that you're able to play it at full tempo eventually, really consistently and really easily. I hope this gave you some ideas on new ways to use your metronome and showed you how to do it effectively to really make sure that you're translating that ease as you get faster. Remember, the metronome isn't a tool to force you to go at tempo or to keep you going full speed. It's a tool to actually keep you going slow and help you to remain steady and perfect and relaxed, and then gradually get to that goal tempo. If you're interested in getting some help with your practicing with a metronome, then film a little practice session of you playing with a metronome and then send it in to be part of the practice analysis. If you didn't see my little demo practice analysis where I did it for myself, check out that video. And you can send one in for yourself, and there's directions in the description of that video as well to send in your own practice analysis. So if you have some questions and are curious if you're using a metronome properly, just film yourself practicing with a metronome, send it in, and I'll make a little practice analysis out of it and help you with your metronome practicing. So go get a metronome if you don't have one, and use it every single time you practice so that you can develop perfect rhythm and flawless, easy technique. Happy practicing, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in another video.